Hi friends, welcome back to my channel and welcome to day 15 of Vlogmas. Today I have a Funko Swap that I did with some other Disney vloggers, and also I'm going to be doing best or most anticipated books and worst books on each of my shelves. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I was going to do it per month, but I feel like that would give away future videos of best books and worst books of 2020, so I want to save that for those videos, so I'm gonna do each of my shelves. But before, I of course have to do my book Gizmo day 15 unboxing. So today's comes in a black pouch, and it is, oh, I think this is one of those like soup holders or bowl cozies, in which if you have a hot bowl right out of the microwave, you can put it in here, and it's essentially like made to be a pot holder to fit bowls. And it does say 9 3/4 all over it, so it is a Harry Potter themed bowl cozy from Mom Nancy Says. Alright, let's get into each of the shelves. Okay, so sorry in advance for how shaky I'm about to be, because this is like the top shelf and my tripod does not reach that high. But here is my first shelf. I'm not gonna include those because I haven't read any of them. But here's my first shelf. My favorite book that I have read on this shelf would be A Darker Shade of Magic by V.E. Schwab. And then my least favorite that I have read would be Again But Better by Christine Riccio. Not to say that I didn't enjoy this book, but it would be my least favorite of the ones I've read. Again But Better follows a girl who goes on a study abroad trip, and it features some magical realism. And A Darker Shade of Magic tells the story of Kel, who travels between different Londons and different alternate worlds to try to save the world. And we'll just move down this way. This is the next shelf. I have not read a ton on this shelf, but my favorite would have to be The Hate You Give by Angie Thomas. This tells the story of Star, who watched her friend get murdered by a cop, and really delves into police brutality and the Black Lives Matter movement and all of those sorts of things. My least favorite, again, of the ones I've read would have to be Always and Forever, Lara Jean. This is the third and final book in the To All the Boys I've Loved Before trilogy, and it was still good, but it just didn't have quite the same vibes as the first two books. As we move down to the next shelf, this is my Throne of Glass shelf. I would say of the ones I've read so far, my favorite would be Heir of Fire, and my least favorite would probably be Crown of Midnight, probably. Throne of Glass tells the story of Serena, who is an assassin and is in prison until one day she is given the opportunity to be the king's assassin and reinvent her life. This is the Cinderella retelling that Sarah J. Maas has done, and it is phenomenal. Crown of Midnight into Heir of Fire is really where the story picks up, to be honest, and Heir of Fire on is a completely different story, but I really don't want to delve too much into it or else I will spoil you. Next, moving down, my favorite of the ones I've read would be Little Women. It's actually one of my favorites of all time. It is the story of the 4 March sisters and their adventures. My least favorite, by default, because it's the only other one I've read, would be Anne of Green Gables, which tells the story of orphan Anne, who is taken in by a farm. It's just, she is such an imaginary and vivid and detailed and storytelling character, and I really enjoy her story. So again, not to say that I dislike my least favorite reads, but this one was kind of by default because it's the only other one I've read. Moving down, we are to my Circus Shelf. This is almost kind of a tour in a way. Of the ones I've read, my favorite would have to be, ooh, this one's tough, probably Where Dreams Descend. This tells the story of Kalia, who is a female magician, which is frowned upon in this society because females are not meant to be magicians. And she enters a competition to become the headlining act of the conquering circus to butt heads, I guess, with this society. However, mysterious things keep happening, people keep dying off, and I believe this is supposed to be a retelling of Phantom of the Opera, which is really cool. My next one is for least favorite, and oh, that is so hard. Probably Finale by Stephanie Garber would be my least favorite of the ones I've read, only because I've only read the Caraval and Where Dreams Descend books. But Finale is the third and final book in the Caraval series. I'm absolutely in love with the first book, and the second book only gets better because it features my favorite character. Finale would be my least favorite just because my favorite character doesn't end up with the character I hoped they would end up with, so that would be the only reason. And moving down, we have a dystopian slash superhero shelf. My favorite, and I'm not going to try to dig it out because it is pretty low, would have to be, oh, this is hard, either Scythe or Catching Fire. I don't know if I could choose between those two. Scythe tells the story of a world in which death has been eradicated, and we are following two apprentice Scythes who are pitted against one another to become the next Scythe. And Catching Fire is the second book of the Hunger Games, and I don't think I need to go any further with that. But my least favorite would be Allegiant. I touched on this in a Among Us tag that I did recently, but Allegiant would be one of my least favorite books of all time, and it actually made me kind of dislike the whole Divergent series, but I still like Divergent enough to keep it, and it was kind of a big part of my middle school years, so I'll hold on to it for sentimentality. Also, look how cute these little baby Yodas are. I'm obsessed. The little one holding soup. Oh my gosh. Yes, I know he's the child, but he will forever be Baby Yoda. Isn't he like Grogu or something like that? I haven't watched The Mandalorian. I'm just a gullible consumer and fell right into the trap of cute Baby Yoda. Next, moving over is classics. And all I've read from this is The Little Women again and Anne of Green Gables, and I've already touched on both of those, so I'm not going to go over it again. Moving up would be my A Darker Shade of Magic shelf. This is, A Darker Shade of Magic would probably be my favorite, and A Gathering of Shadows would probably be my least favorite on this shelf. Moving up is my ACOTAR, or Court of Thorns and Roses, and my Cruel Prince series. I need to change the date. This is actually the 15th, but it is what it is. My favorite is definitely A Court of Mist and Fury by Sarah J. Maas. This is the second book in the A Court of Thorns and Roses series, and as you can see, everything is about this book. Least favorite book would have to be The Cruel Prince. I actually did not enjoy The Cruel Prince at all. The only reason I kept it was because of The Wicked King and The Queen of Nothing. I enjoyed both of those books out of the series, and I am excited to read King of Elfhame, but oh my goodness, I but I strongly disliked The Cruel Prince. But now that I've read the whole series, I really enjoy The Cruel Prince. It's an odd time. As we move up, my next shelf is my Avatar shelf. I have actually not read any of these comics, so I'm just going to skip past the shelf, but I hope you enjoy it. Moving upward, my favorite on this shelf would have to be With the Fire on High by Elizabeth Acevedo. This tells the story of Amoni, who is a high school senior. She ended up getting pregnant when she was, I believe, a sophomore and has a 2-year-old little girl now. However, she does have dreams of becoming a chef, and she's dealing with, can she follow her dreams while also being there for her little girl? And my least favorite on this shelf, again by default because it's the only other book on this shelf I've read, would be Now That I've Found You by Christina Forrest. This is the story of a girl who is trying to become Hollywood's next big starlet, following in the footsteps of her grandmother. However, when her grandmother is set to receive an award of Lifetime Achievement at the Hollywood Awards show, her grandmother disappears, and we have to follow Evie and figure out where her grandmother went. Moving up is my next red and orange shelf. My favorite would have to be Priory of the Orange Tree, which is a high fantasy following a kingdom in which the Dark One is starting to come back and the Queen is the only one that can stop it. And my least favorite by default would be Days of Blood and Starlight, which is the, I am blanking if it's second or third, but it's one of the books of the Daughter of Smoke and Bone trilogy. Moving across, we have a yellow to purple shelf. My favorite book on this shelf is Sorcery of Thorns. And that is the story of Elizabeth, who is a protector of grimoires, or books that can come to life, in this magical library. However, one day she is framed for one of the grimoires going missing, and she has to figure out who actually did it. My least favorite on this shelf would have to be probably A Curse So Dark and Lonely, which is a Beauty and the Beast retelling in both a magical setting and our world, and our main character has cerebral palsy, so it has really great representation. Moving down, my favorite on this shelf would have to be Betrayed by Emily Henry. This follows two authors, one who is a women's romance writer and one who is a literary fiction author, and they are both in a reading and writing slump and challenge each other to write in the other's genre of choice. We go on lots of research trips and fake dates, and it's just a wonderful, wonderful read. My least favorite, again, not because I dislike it, but because I've only actually read 3 books on the shelf, would have to be Howl's Moving Castle by Diana Wynne Jones. In this, we are following our main character who has accidentally been transformed into an older woman, and she joins this Howl's Moving Castle as like a ward, I guess you could say, and it's just a lot of fun and whimsical and magical and totally Studio Ghibli vibes, or Studio Ghibli. I don't really know which one it is. Moving down, we have my favorite series here. We have the Six of Crows shelf. My favorite book on this would of course be Six of Crows. In this, we are following Kaz Brecker, who has joined together 5 other misfits of this world to go on a heist that he believes will save the world. It starts off really slow, but ends up being one of the best books ever, and it actually got me back into reading, so it holds sentimental and also just amazing story value. My least favorite would probably have to be Ruin and Rising, the 3rd book of the Shadow and Bone trilogy. And this book is probably why people don't like the trilogy. The first 2 books were really good, and Ruin and Rising just kind of ruined it, to say the least. Yeah. Moving down is another one of my favorite books. And on this, my favorite book would have to be, of course, Crown of Feathers by Nikki Palpretto. In this, we have 3 point of views. Our first is Veronica, who all she wants to do is be a Phoenix Rider. So the way to get into the Phoenix Riders, because all they are accepting as boys, is to disguise herself as one. We're also following Tristan, who is a Phoenix Rider in this clan. He is actually the son of the commander and has to live up to the commander's rules, expectations, and so on and so forth. And finally, we are following Sev, who is a soldier in the enemy army and has accidentally landed himself in this position. My least favorite was really hard to choose, but it would have to be Shatter the Sky by Rebecca Kim Wells. In this, we are following a girl whose girlfriend was stolen, and our main character steals a dragon to rescue her girlfriend. And moving down from my Crown of Feathers shelf is a Sea Adventure shelf. My favorite on this is actually going to be really hard to choose. Oh my gosh. For now, I'm going to have to go with House of Salt and Sorrows by Erin A. Craig, a dark retelling of the 12 Dancing Princesses. However, Fable was really higher up there. This may change by the time I do my favorite books of 2020, but at the moment, I'm going to have to go with House of Salt and Sorrows. And my least favorite would have to be the 3 Dark Crowns second book, which was One Dark Throne. And in 3 Dark Crowns, we are following 3 sisters who are pitted against one another to fight to the death for royalty. Moving down is another sci-fi shelf. On this, my favorite would have to be Skyward by Brandon Sanderson. In this, we are following Spensa, who wants to be a fighter pilot. However, her father abandoned the war and was labeled a coward, and now she has to exemplify herself and live past what everyone thinks of her father. And my least favorite would have to be Once and Future, a sci-fi King Arthur gender-bent retelling. But it was still so good, so I highly still recommend. And then moving over from my sci-fi shelf, I have Random Book Box books. And this one's actually going to be pretty interesting. My favorite book on this shelf is Girls of Paper and Fire, in which we are following the Demon King, who takes in 8 concubines every year until one year he is absolutely entranced by this girl with demon eyes and takes in a 9th concubine. It is a female-female romance and it is incredible, but there is definitely sexual assault trigger warnings, so be aware of that. And my least favorite would have to be Girls of Storm and Shadow, the second book in the Girls of Paper and Fire series. And honestly, this one felt like we were following a completely different storyline and completely different characters, and was one of my biggest disappointments of the year. However, it probably just suffered from middle book syndrome. It was still really good. I had just hyped up the first book so much that I really wanted to love this one as well. Moving up are the book box books that I have not read yet. This is for LitJoy, this is for Owlcrate, and this is for Fairy Loot. So I'm going to actually do what my most excited or anticipated ones are for each shelf. I'm not going to do least favorite or least excited, just so that this isn't a forever long video. So my most anticipated out of this shelf would have to be The Princess Will Save You by Sarah Henning. This is a retelling gender bent of The Princess Bride. Moving up, my most excited and anticipated out of the Owlcrate books would have to be All the Stars and Teeth by Adeline Grace. I honestly don't know much about what this is about, but look at that cover. It is incredibly stunning. And moving up to my Fairy Loot books, my most anticipated would have to be Girl, Serpent, Thorn, in which we are following a princess who has a poisonous touch and is granted the opportunity to choose between her love and her life. Moving up are my library slash book within a book themed books, and my favorite would have to be Strange the Dreamer by Laini Taylor, in which we are following Laszlo, who all he wants to do is go to the city of Weep, but it is a forgotten city, until one day he is presented the opportunity to visit and jumps on that opportunity. And my least favorite would have to be Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. This is an adult paranormal fantasy, and we are following Alex Stern, who has been taken in by a secret society in Neo to kind of keep the ghost from the veil from entering our world, and also keep the other secret societies under control. And I'm gonna end up here. My favorite was Serpent and Dove, and my least favorite was Blood and Honey. It's still a really fantastic series, but Serpent and Dove follows a witch and a witch hunter in an arranged marriage. And that's Chester. And now we're gonna head into the Funko Swap. Alright friends, I am going to unbox the Funko Swap. This again was hosted by Darling Disney Divas, and as always I will link all the participants down below. The goal of the swap was to swap 2 regular Funko Pops. So here is what the box looks like, and we got my favorite girl Belle here. It says, Megan, I hope you don't have these Funkos. I will say they're gorgeous and I really wanted to keep them when I ordered them. That's relatable to when I sent the Funkos to my person. And this is again from Ashley, from Ashley's Grotto. Ashley got me the game night and the movie night. I forget what order the Funko and movie night are gonna go in, so I might be saying this in surprise, but yes, thank you Ashley, you've been a great swap partner. And here's what it looks like on top. So we have our 2 Funko Pops here. So I don't know which one to open first. Oh my gosh, let's go with this one. Okay, so our first one is actually one I already own, but that is totally fine because I've actually wanted to purchase another one of these and paint it black. I'm not gonna say for what reason, but it is gonna go on the shelf. So this actually works out perfectly. So yes, I'm very happy with this. I want to paint it black. My Crown of Feathers people will know why, but otherwise I don't want to say further for spoiler reasons. And here is the second Funko. So excited! Yes! I'm gonna cry. I've wanted this Funko for so long. It is the Beast in the winter scene, which is like my personal favorite scene, and he's got the birds. Oh my gosh, like everyone loves the traditional Beauty and the Beast scene with the ball gown and the ballroom and the dance and the Beauty and the Beast song, and for good reasons. It's a great scene, but my favorite scene is when they're outside and something there that wasn't there before, and like the snowball fight and the birds. I'm so happy to have this. Thank you, Ashley. This was a fantastic set of Funkos, and very excited for both of these. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. But without further ado, let's get back into the vlog. And that is all for today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Tomorrow will be, I don't even remember. I can't keep track of my days anymore. I am losing it. I am just slowly losing every bit of information each day. So tomorrow will be a surprise because I don't even know what's in store for tomorrow. I'd have to go look at my notes. Yeah, we're doing well, friends. But I did get monetized. Well, I didn't get monetized, but I filled out the application for monetization. So thank you guys so much for watching my videos and supporting me. I really appreciate it. And yeah, that is all. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye, friends.